everybody.
Hi, friends. Well, from Salt Lake City, Utah,
It's Thank God I'm Atheist.
the podcast.
I'm Frank Feldman.
And I'm Dan Beecher.
And coming up on the show today, Dan, a conversation of pornography versus nudity. This is coming to us from a story about a Florida principal who was let go after sixth graders at her school were shown Michelangelo's David.
Michelangelo, the little David, if you will.
Little D himself. Pornography versus nudity. Yeah.
Yeah. I think a lot of people have seen this story, but we're just gonna talk about nudity as a sin and what's going on here, people.
Yeah. It's insanity. I don't know what's going on in the world anymore. But here's something, Dan.
Okay.
This last week or so, recently, let's say, a church pastor in Missouri by the name of John Lindell told his congregation about a quote unquote creative miracle that took place involving a woman named Chrissy Thompson, who I believe must be a member of the congregation. He made the claim.
Can I just make a prediction going into this?
Yeah.
I predict whatever you're about to say never happened.
Well, he did get up on stage and claimed that her toes grew back because of prayer. Apparently Chrissy Thompson, was shot 3 times in 2015 by her husband and had to have 3 toes amputated. I guess it was just like, right? And 3 toes, I don't fully understand how shot 3 times and 3 toes amputated.
My question is, was he a good shot or a bad shot? Was he going for toes?
1, 2, 3. That little piggy ain't going anywhere.
Right. I warned you. Now here go your toes.
Oh, golly. Apparently there are news articles that do sort of confirm that Thompson was shot. So this part of the story is real, right?
Okay.
But
I can tell you which part ain't.
So I guess Bill Johnson, he's the senior leader of Bethel Church in Redding, California. He was there visiting, and they were having a prayer meeting. And I guess somebody sort of offered, I think he offered, he sort of asked everybody, does anybody need a creative miracle? And she's sitting there and she's like, well, I'm missing some toes. That sounds like a creative thing to like be a miracle.
Yeah.
And so the video of it was originally up on the church's Facebook page. It's since come down, but you can still find it at a website called showmethetoes.com. So what's happening here? The video is not of the toes growing, right? However, the pastor does in the video. I went to showmethetoes.com, which we'll get to in a minute. He tells the story of, that she sort of speaks up and is like, well, on my show, I'm missing 3 toes. And they're like, so they anointed the toes, the non-toes, the stubs, I guess, with holy oil, and
you do,
as you do, and you start praying, and they started praying about it, and then like he says that the foot started to throb, and like bones started to push out in these spaces, and these nubs formed, and within 30 minutes, in
real time.
Oh yeah, they sat and watched it happen. And then he says about 30 minutes passed, and then toenails started to grow.
Yes.
And so
gross. So like what originally happened was toes started to form, but they had no nails to them.
Well, what? I mean, he actually thought it through, right?
Yeah.
Like he really visualized and imagined this, because like if all of a sudden you had like nails starting, I don't know, that seems wrong. I think he actually got the details in sort of their most plausible, way,
God.
whatever. Well, anyway, this all went out online. There was big hubbub. Videos being shared about these claims. There's an interview video of her telling her version of it, where actually she doesn't mention any anointing, right? And she says that after the women in the prayer group started praying over her foot, she took the shoe off to see the progress. Now that's very different, right?
Yeah.
The tellings, if we're going to sort of start with the giving them the benefit of the doubt, I suppose.
Why would you do that?
Which of course we wouldn't, but because it's an absurd claim. But if you were, and you were just trying to parse it out, like, well, you have two sort of conflicting versions. And I know that happens a lot with like people retelling, firsthand accounts of things. Right. Sometimes some details will be wrong, but the important details, the really, really important details,
right,
are the same, right? And in this case, I feel like if somebody anointed my toes, or my stubs rather, with holy oil, then that's an important detail. She doesn't mention that. Anyway, moving on. So just one more reason not to believe this, folks.
Right.
So anyway,
beyond the obvious, this definitely never happened.
So then this website pops up where they had grabbed all this video from the sources.
Right.
And it did disappear after like it started getting out there a little too much and there started getting some criticism. They pulled the videos. And now you can watch the videos on showmethetoes.com. And they're just saying, listen, if it happened, show us the pictures.
Yeah.
You made the mistake of naming the person, which usually in these instances, it's some person, right? Yeah. That they know that or they heard about this story. Yeah. Like it's some secondhand tale. No, this is
a dear
people,
brother or a dear sister.
Yeah.
It's never like Joe Smith.
Yeah. And he made the mistake. He said her name. They put her on camera. She says her toes have grown back. Well, show us the fucking toes. If they came back, show us the toes.
Sounds amazing. Great. Let's see the toes.
Yeah. And so,
it will be so faith promoting to see these toes with toenails. We're there for it.
I guess in the same meeting, the pastor also later on said that some members of the church would raise people from the dead. Right. He says, I'm not saying everybody will be raised from the dead. I'm just saying some people from this room, you're going to raise people from the dead. It's just going to happen. So that's what's going on out there in crazy
not
land.
You personally, but somebody.
Yeah, somebody.
Yeah, okay.
So the toes, Dan.
Show me the toes. That's all you need to do.
I love it so much.
All right. So I'm going to take us to some research that has been done and it's sort of, we've reported that anti-Semitism is very much up in the United States, though there was recently a sort of report that said that at least for 2022, though anti-Semitism was up, physical anti-Semitism, meaning like actual physical attacks, weren't up, so that's good.
That is good.
Okay. I mean, it's so nice to hear that it's only just bubbling under the surface rather than boiling over into physicality. Like, oh, good. Yeah. Hooray. But there's one group of people who are particularly anti-Semitic in a very weird way. Now, if you know anything about the history of the Catholic Church, they haven't done great with Jews. Like, they haven't always been very nice about Jews, including things like, various inquisitions and, blaming all the Jews for the murder of Jesus, that sort of thing.
Just that. That's all.
Just that. I mean, calm down, everybody. And it wasn't until really the Vatican II, the Second Vatican Council, back in the 60s, the 1960s, that is, that they literally came out and explicitly said that, I I think what they explicitly said was that not all of the Jews at Jesus's time were to blame, and certainly none of the Jews now are to blame.
Oh, no, yeah, okay. Just a few Jews, 2,000 years ago.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Word has not gotten out to all of the Catholics about this.
Great.
When you spend 2,000 years maligning a large group of people, it doesn't immediately just go away, the hatred.
Right.
But here's what's funny. The group that is the most anti-Semitic among the Catholics are the ones who also haven't gotten the memo that the Bible itself is not to be taken literally.
Okay.
So Catholic Bible literalists are the big problem, or are a big problem for Jews. Now, the Catholic Church has also said this is not a literal book. There are plenty of things that are not to be taken literally, but here's the thing. Catholics don't know what they believe. Catholics don't know what the Catholic Church says.
No,
they go to church twice a year and think they know. So yeah, it is very interesting to see that, like, yeah, there's the sort of big offenders. It's the ones that don't know anything about their own church.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I guess that's good.
Yeah.
Right. Like, at least it's like the organization is saying, hey, only hate those Jews over there from forever ago. And it's like, they need to get the message out a little more clearly.
Yeah. It's interesting because when they polled them, they asked who bears the blame for the crucifixion of Jesus. 28.2% said Pontius Pilate or Rome.
Okay.
41% said the sins of humanity are to blame. Okay. That's actually wrong too.
Oh boy.
But
a better answer.
Yeah, sure. But if you believe the Jesus story, they're to blame. That's who to blame for the Garden of Gethsemane suffering, maybe, but not for the crucifixion. Anyway, 9.6% said no one is to blame, which is an interesting take. Like, look, he brought it on himself. Okay, I don't know what no one means. Another 9.6% just don't know, and then there's 11% who just continue to say the Jews.
11%.
Uh-huh.
That's higher than I thought it would be, actually.
Yeah.
That would actually come out and say it.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
And not like some Jews or ancient Jews. The Jews. Just the.
Yeah. Oh.
There was another chart that was talking about, like, what the question, what is your opinion of Jews and Muslims?
Which is like, no, that's a dangerous question.
And this one compared it to answers that evangelicals gave to the same question in another survey. Interestingly, evangelicals, I guess this doesn't surprise me, they're hip to the Jews, man. 65% of evangelicals are cool with are either have a very good or good view of Jews. I think this is because their pastors talk about Judeo-Christian values and like,
well, and they love that ram's horn thing too, right? Like,
they do.
So like
if they're gonna get the shofar, if they're gonna use shofars as much as they do, they better like Jews. That's the trade-off.
Any people who blow ram's horns like that, they're good with me. That's their attitude. They're like, that sound, I'm in.
I'm on it. That sounds great. Meanwhile, Catholics, 54% are very good or good, have a very good or good opinion of Jews.
Okay, that's not great.
Muslims, not so much. Nobody likes the Muslims.
Oh, the Mormons do.
Do they?
Yeah, that was one of those weird. The thing I talked about last week. That was one of the
the weird anomalies,
weird things that came out.
So. Oh man,
All right.
Yeah.
Well, Dan,
Yeah.
I'm going to pull the story back here to Utah for a sec.
Oh, God.
Oh, yeah. All the best stuff, everybody.
That's never a good thing.
You know, it's going to be a good one when we decide to tell a story about our lovely Utah.
Our fair city.
Yeah. So this has to do with sort of a trend nationally. That's the whole book banning thing that's going on.
Oh, yay.
And there's a new law in Utah that allows for quote unquote pornographic books to be removed from school libraries. It actually says allowing in the article that I'm looking at right now. I think it requires the removal of these books. If a parent points it out, the school is supposed to like remove it and then evaluate it and, figure out what they're going to do.
If there had been, man, I would have been excited if there was porn in schools, but alas, there never has been.
Yeah, I know. Well, a parent here in our great state of Utah has called out the Bible.
Yeah.
Thank you, whoever you are. This is the right thing. This is the absolute right thing to do in response to these ridiculous laws and trends of people complaining about books that are just absolutely not a real problem. Yeah, so the parent, who is unidentified, submitted their request back in December, along with an 8-page list of passages from the Bible that they found to be offensive and worth review.
Yeah.
Part of the request reads, incest, onanism, bestiality, prostitution, genital mutilation, fellatio, dildos, rape, and even infanticide. You'll no doubt find that the Bible under Utah code has no serious values for minors because it's pornographic by our new definition. Get this porn out of our schools. If the books that have been banned so far are any indication for way lesser offenses, this should be a slam dunk, they said.
Yeah.
Based on this new law, something is indecent if it includes explicit sexual arousal, stimulation, masturbation, intercourse, sodomy, or fondling.
Check, 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 check.
And according to state attorneys, material doesn't have to be taken as a whole, right, in these situations, or left on the shelf during a review. If there is a scene involving any of those acts, it should be immediately removed. So apparently, though, this has gotten around to the sponsor of the bill, one Mr. Ken Ivory.
Listen, if you know anything about Utah, the name Ivory is always going to be a good thing.
He's not one of those Ivories, though. I looked. He's like a distant cousin. But anyway, let's see. He says he called the parents' request another example of, quote, antics that drain school resources, like what the people who are out there doing this in the first place aren't doing. Like if somebody complaining about whatever other book that he feels like shouldn't be in the schools, right? Like they're not draining school resources too,
right,
if it's even a drain of school resources. He continues, there was a purpose to this bill, and this kind of stuff, it's very unfortunate. There are any number of studies that directly link sexualization and hypersexualization with sexual exploitation and abuse. Certainly those things we don't want in the schools. For people to minimize that and to make a mockery of it is very sad.
Read your book.
No kidding. Like, of all the things that shouldn't be in there.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I said, this is part of a huge trend. The American Library Association has tracked more than 1,200 challenges in 2022. That was nearly double the then record total from 2021. And it's just the numbers have just been going up and up and up. One of the people at the American Library Association, Deborah Caldwell Stone, says, I've never seen anything like this. The last 2 years have been exhausting, frightening, outrage-inducing. And this other article that I referenced, says that the Library Association bases its findings on media accounts and voluntary reporting. So they consider the numbers are probably higher than what they know about.
You know, it's I literally, he thinks that this is obviously, it's not good faith in that, like, the person submitting this complaint is not a parent trying to actually save their kid from pornography. So no, it's not a good faith thing in that respect. But look, the people who are most worried about porn should be worried about that book. Like,
Yeah.
if that's really what you're on about, which it's not, you're a big fat liar, then you should agree with this assessment of that book.
Mm-hmm.
I saw a video of where, and again, this is not good faith. This guy was asking people, was describing parts of the Bible to people without saying this is the Bible, and saying, should this is a book that's in schools, should this be in schools? And of course, people are falling for it, and they're like, no, that shouldn't be in schools. And then they drop the bomb. Oh, well, it's the Bible. But the point is, like, yeah, if your concern is what you claim it is,
Mm-hmm.
then a book that contains a part where two daughters
Mm-hmm.
get their father drunk and rape him.
Yeah.
Yeah, you should probably, like, if you're not a hypocrite, you want that out of your schools.
And that's not a minor story of the Bible, right? Like, that's one of the good ones. That's one that's told all the time. I remember that story from Sunday school. It's not presented that way.
Well,
right?
No.
But
the story of Lot is about, how all the homos in
correct. That's the lesson to take from it.
Right.
Don't worry about that rape stuff. That's incidental.
Right. Yeah. It's absurd. And they're, all they're proving is that they're hypocrites.
Yep.
All right. Well, I'm going to take us to New York City, land of, all conservative schools. That's conservative Christian schools. That's what New York is known for. Or at least there is at least one, but perhaps not for long. King's College, or rather, I guess it's the King's College, which is a weird name for a school in the United States. We've never had a king. Don't do that. Anyway, the King's College. It's a non-denominational Christian college. It's in Manhattan. It didn't used to be. It used to be in New Jersey. But anyway, they're struggling. It may close. It's a very sad day.
No.
It's a very sad day. And this is apparently happening to more and more Christian schools. They've been trying to get they thrive off of major donations from Christian dupes. They had a couple of millionaires. They were DeVos family. People, Richard and Helen DeVos.
That's who you want. You need those people.
You do. And they were giving millions until they both died in 2018 and 2017.
No.
And thus began some very serious problems. So they contracted with a Canadian company called Primacorp, and basically gave away the farm. They basically, Primacorp was going to take over, and they would take over the fundraising, marketing, and admissions for the college.
Oh.
And they were gonna, really push the online.
Smart.
College.
Yes, smart.
And then Primacorp gets 95% of the tuition from the online.
No, that wasn't smart.
They made a really bad deal. And of course, Primacorp comes in, and they sort of ran the Elon Musk playbook, where they think that they know everything they need to know. And, they've been involved with some other education things. So it seems like they should know a few things, but they just laid off a ton of people and basically stopped paying for anything. They had a marketing wing, or a fundraising wing that they just defunded completely. They had no budget.
Oh God.
And shockingly, things went tits up, and now they're worried that they won't. Students are literally like A bunch of students, they have a sort of a dormitory style housing thing that the college owns, and the students started getting notices that they were going to be evicted, and that their lights were going to be turned off and stuff.
Oh my God! Oh no!
There are literally recruiters from other colleges now hanging out on campus.
Oh God! Oh damn!
The school keeps assuring people that they're going to be okay, but
no,
students are now wondering, looking around. Yeah, I feel bad for the students, but
I do too. I mean, I feel bad that they were at a Christian school in the first place because
Jesus isn't going to teach you anything that's useful in the world.
But yeah, that's disruptive, and they think they have the next few years of their lives sort of figured out and lined up, and yeah, that sucks.
And now they're worried that they're going to have to answer questions about this school that they went to. Is it a scam? Is that a real school?
Well, yeah, it is a scam, but
right.
Hopefully they learned some things.
Hopefully.
I hope you're okay. Oh, that's too bad.
It's just sad.
All right, Dan. I've got a story here about a priest who took a stand that I think you and I would agree with.
Oh,
in fact, I'm confident that we would agree with this. He has been this is one Mr. Priest Father James Connell.
I believe that's the correct appellation, Mr. Priest Father.
He has been out advocating to change laws that protect priests from disclosing to the authorities when they hear confessions about child abuse. And sexual abuse, right? And that's great. And he's actually obviously one of the few people in his position in the world that's out with taking a stand and saying no, we need to end this. He says things like this is something that he wrote. He says no institution in our society, not even a recognized religion, has a significant advantage over government's compelling interest and responsibility to protect its children from harm by abuse or neglect. Thus, no valid freedom of religion argument rooted in the absence of truth can provide a moral justification for sheltering perpetrators of abuse and neglect of children from their deserved punishment, while also endangering potential victims.
How dare he?
Well, and that is exactly what the Archbishop Jerome Mistecki of Milwaukee, who's over Father James Connell, what he does not agree with this at all. He has, in fact, revoked Father Connell's ability to hear confessions. So this is what he says. He says, I have informed Father James Connell that effective immediately he is to cease all such erroneous communications that distort the teachings of the church about the confessional seal. I have also immediately removed the canonical faculties of Father Connell to validly celebrate the sacrament of confession and to offer absolution here in the Archdiocese of Milwaukee and thereby also in the Catholic Church around the world.
Oh my God. That sounds so serious.
Yeah, Connell is retired. So I don't know how much this is actually going to affect. Rather, this is clear that it's largely just a big public statement and hoo-ha by the Archbishop, because it's
he's got to make it clear to all of his, penitent or rather his confessing pedophiles, that they are safe with him. Don't you worry your pretty little head.
He needs to play to the his base, and
that's right. That's right. These are my people.
So I guess Connell is a canon lawyer. And he has, in 2018, he appealed to Pope Francis to, quote, release from the seal of confession all information regarding child or vulnerable adult sexual abuse so authorities can be notified. This is his issue.
I can see why everyone would be pissed.
Yeah. He
actually wants to do something good in the Catholic Church.
And it sounds like a lot of this actually, he was accused of covering up sexual abuse. And at the time, both he and the archdiocese denied this. And whether or not this is him sort of working on some penitence or just him being woken up to the issue, he has spent the last 14 some odd years on fire on this issue. And
good for him.
Really, honestly, good for him. And there need to be more priests, obviously.
What's ironic is that if this is a sort of penitent stance for him, he fucked up earlier in his career and now he's just trying to like make it right. It would be actual penitence as opposed to the bullshit that they offered the penitent in their confessionals. Like, like saying Hail Marys does nothing to create penitence.
Correct.
Actually taking action and trying to make changes.
Yeah.
That's real penitence.
Yeah.
So of course they're trying to silence him.
Yeah. The article doesn't speculate at that. That was my speculation. But who knows what his motivations have been. But he's really taken up the cause. I know nothing else about the man, but in this one regard, I'm like, you go, sir. Good for you. So
yeah. Well, all right. I'm going to close this off with an interesting. This is so dumb. So you and I, growing up Mormon, did not have the concept of a worship leader in our in our services. It would have been so much better if we had, because these are the guys, and these are the people who are out there just creating cool songs. They're the rock and roll guys. These are the music people in your evangelical or your whatever church. And it's a fairly common thing to title for someone in a church, a worship leader.
It's interesting. Okay.
So, for instance, when RNS, the Religion News Service, has a story about a guy named Scott Leonard, who, when he had been a worship leader, I think when the pandemic hit and he wasn't really able to do his job, he just went online and started creating some memes about worship leading, and about God and whatever. And he decided he was going to be the guy that creates Star Wars memes about worship, which cute. That's exactly the point of Star Wars, was definitely that you should apply it to your religion. But anyway, he started an account, a Facebook account, I think, called Rogue Leader or Rogue Worship Leader. It's like, a play on the whole rogue leader thing. Anyway.
Okay. Sounds good so far.
The point is, he woke up one morning and his account was taken down.
Oh no. Why?
And why was his account taken down? Because a magazine called Worship Leader Magazine was enforcing its trademark.
Oh, it wasn't like the owner, like Disney?
No.
Coming after for Star Wars?
Yeah, exactly. We all thought we knew where this was going. Because you don't want to fuck with the mouse.
No.
But no, this is an almost defunct, dying magazine called Worship Leader Magazine.
Oh.
Just getting out there and defending their trademark. So they had gone through apparently a whole bunch of accounts got shut down.
Oh my God.
A few of them were reinstated later, but I just think it's very funny to try and trademark. You and I need to establish a magazine called Priest and Pastor Magazine, and then just say that we have trademarks on the terms priest and pastor, and just try to stop
cease and desist letters.
Yeah, stop calling yourself pastor. That's us. That's ours. We own that.
Pastor TM.
Pastor trademark. Yeah.
I don't think it works that way, but
well,
I wish that it did. And any patent lawyers out there, maybe tip us off on something we could go a little
how can we fuck with these people? We will do a fundraiser and just raise enough money to fuck with these people to try to. If you are willing to send out the cease and desist letters,
that's probably where we would run into some problems.
We're gonna do it.
Somebody professionally getting on board with some ding dong.
You never know. It's just a letter. It can't hurt. It's not.
Oh, that's funny.
All right. Well, if you are that lawyer and would like to help us out, or if you are just you and you would like to talk to us about anything, please feel free to do so. You can write to us, podcast@thankgodimatheist.com.
Or call and leave us a voicemail message. The telephone number is 424-666-8442. Stick around. There's more show coming up.
Well, Frank.
Yes.
When we say the name Lance Wallnau, at this point, I think everybody knows that he's one of the real peaches, and he's one of the guys who hitched his wagon to the Trump train real early.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And like loved to brag about how I was in the White House, the other blah, blah, blah. Well, the Trump train's not really on track at this point. He wasn't arrested,
right?
Over this last week, but I think Wallnau knows why.
Oh,
and we'll have an explanation right here. This is Wallnau praying in his service.
Oh, good.
Here we go.
Okay.
We thank you for this Donald Trump that you raised up. And Lord, even now we lift up a voice on his behalf, that you will cause your hand to come upon his head. You will cover his ears so that he only hears what you are saying. Your hand will be on his heart so that he only feels what you want him to feel. And I pray in the name of Jesus that as his enemies have dug a pit for him, that he would fall into it, that they will fall into it themselves. We rebuke every witchcraft curse, vex, spell that has been launched against him, his wife, his children, and his enterprise. And we ask you to fill him with the Holy Ghost. Let him be filled with the power of the Holy Spirit. Now you pray in the Holy Ghost for Donald Trump. We rebuke what they're doing right now. We pray that this will actually become an embarrassment to them. That when they try to arrest him, when they try to accuse him of stirring up insurrection, that you will, Lord, cause your spirit to make the wheels on the chariot of Pharaoh come off.
The wheels on the chariot of Pharaoh. What a fabulous metaphor he found.
Donald Trump.
Oh my God.
At first I thought he was praying to Donald Trump.
Well,
the way that it was phrased right at the beginning, I was like, oh golly, we've crossed that line now. Okay.
I mean, it's not far off.
Oh, when Trump dies, there's going to be people praying to Trump. Oh.
Dear Saint Donald.
No. Oh,
good
his
Lord.
Miracle of the KFC bucket.
I will never.
The bottomless KFC bucket.
I will never, ever not love when they go into tongues.
It's so dumb.
It's the silliest, stupidest thing.
It's so dumb.
And they know how stupid they sound, but they're in it now. They're committed to it.
I know. There's no backing out of it. Just the fact that they know that they're not actually speaking another language,
right?
Because I that's what I always thought it was. Like I was confident of that. I thought that they were just like, oh yeah, this is some language I don't know, but the Lord is speaking through me or whatnot, right?
Right.
Right. But they know it's just babblings.
Yeah. Because there's
So
no
dumb.
language in the world where like that's not useful.
Dan. We need to create that language. Right. And the number of la-la-la-la-las that you say actually changes meaning or tense or
it's almost a binary language where it's like how many mas and las, like ma is a 1 and a la is a 0 or
or just Morse code, right?
That's what it is.
That's how
each exactly. It's dots and dits. If we find out that one of these motherfuckers is actually doing Morse, I would be impressed.
It would be I would too. I'd be like, wow, they're like signaling to God.
Yeah.
Dear,
I want that to be true.
God. Laws are always dots and anything else is a dash. Is that how it works?
Or it could just be that like anything that's prolonged is a dash and anything that's short so it's like ha nama nama oh my god, somebody decode these things. We're gonna find out that one of them's actually like asking for help. Save me from them, they have me trapped. All right, well, we have some people who have written into us. We'll start with Amanda, who says, "Hey, Frank and Dan, I just wanted to share my spanking experience in high school. Remember we talked about this? There are states in these United States in this century that are still okay with corporal punishment."
That's shocking.
Amanda says, "I graduated from a small school in rural Arkansas. I'm so sorry." Where corporal punishment was allowed. Yep. Don't worry, though. It was legit because parents had to sign off and allow their children to be spanked.
Oh.
Please note my sarcasm.
Yeah, okay,
right.
Cool.
Apparently, Amanda's parents opted in.
Oh, no.
She goes on to say, anyway, I'd received detention set to happen after school that day, but couldn't go because cheerleading tryouts were the same afternoon. I opted for paddle swats instead so I could make tryouts.
Oh my God.
Our principal, also a local preacher, because of course he fucking was,
right,
called me and a female teacher, see, it was legit since he wasn't alone with me, to the office and swatted my ass with 3 of the hardest spankings I've ever received.
Oh my God.
With his hand.
What?
Well, that's what I'm getting. I'm not seeing anything. Oh no, it said paddle swats. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's paddle, yeah. Which you don't spank hard with a anyway. I immediately left the office and burst into tears. Well, yeah.
It's awful.
It ends well though, as I made the cheerleading squad and rooted for my school the next 3 years. Oh my gosh.
Good Lord. I would have been like, fuck this school.
Sounds like she learned her lesson though, and that's what's important.
Is that what we just heard?
Discipline. It's yeah.
Oh golly.
Oh Lord. All right. Hi Frank and Dan. This is from Fallon. I'm writing in response to the people who have recently been experiencing proselytization from their healthcare providers. Their experiences got me thinking about when the exchange goes the other way. I'm a physician assistant and in an ICU. If I had a nickel for every time a patient or their family member asks me if I have faith or will pray with them, I wouldn't be a millionaire, but I bet I'd be a thousandaire. Conversations frequently start because a person proudly announces that they aren't worried about death because they already know where they're going. Oh my God.
Jesus.
That is some hubris, my friends. And then proceed to try and sniff out what my belief system is.
Oh, God.
On one particularly memorable occasion, a very nosy Mormon man, on learning that I grew up Catholic in a very Mormon part of southeastern Idaho, but I am now a non-churchgoer, I didn't go so far as to say atheist, had the audacity to tell me that I should know better because I'd been raised with the truth all around me.
Oh, my God.
I vary in how I respond to the questions about my faith in the medical setting. I strongly dislike being disingenuous about who I am, and being an atheist who trusts in science and evidence-based medicine is a large part of my worldview. Of course it is. However, we all know that in general, atheists are not considered trustworthy, and I do not want to give my patients any reason to doubt me or the care I give. After the nosy Mormon guy, I've been super hesitant to give details about what I believe. Most of the time, I just make a non-committal statement about religion and then let them pray at me without participating, or as one of my colleagues calls it, prayer rape. Oh. Yeah. I mean, at very least, molestation. I know that when I see people in an ICU, it is frequently one of the worst days of their lives, so I understand that people want to turn to their God for comfort and to prayer for the illusion that they have any control over the situation. However, sometimes it still hurts when people make comments like, I'm so glad a Christian / believer / what have you is taking care of X and will do everything to save him or her, as if being an atheist means I'm not going to do everything I can to save a life or ease suffering. I got into medicine because I wanted to help people. God had nothing to do with it. Yeah, man. Here's what you say to them. This is my theory. When they say, what's your what do you believe? You just say, oh, I HIPAA tells me it says I can't tell you. I can't talk about faith matters with you. That's a HIPAA thing. That would be a HIPAA violation.
Well, I mean, it would be great if there was a law that created a wall there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, here's the thing. The right wing hit the HIPAA thing really hard for no good reason because it didn't apply. For those of you who aren't in the United States, HIPAA is just our law that says that legally care providers can't provide information outside of, there's confidentiality.
Medical yeah, exactly. Yep.
But they don't know what it means, the right wing, because they've been told it means a whole bunch of shit that it doesn't mean. Fox News and everybody told them, like, nobody's allowed to ask you if you've been vaccinated. That's a HIPAA violation. It's not.
I see what you're saying.
So
okay.
What I'm saying is just say the word HIPAA, and whatever you say after that, they'll be like, oh, right. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, there you go. All right.
That is my very bad advice. And finally, Mark wrote into us to say, hey guys, I love supporting you too. I've been a bit late commenting as a former 30-year Lutheran. I know a bit about Lent. I see it mostly as a visible sign of commitment, like ashes on a forehead or a diamond for your significant other, as words are cheap. Some try to make it into giving something up and replacing it with Jesus time. My understanding is that on a larger scale, it's a form of dealing with times of scarcity. Late winter, Lent, Ramadan, or dry season. It's a misery loves company thing. If we make giving up food about sacrificing for God, it may seem easier. In that sense, it is a touching ritual. Okay. I don't have a problem. Whatever. Lent's stupid. But yes, I mean, if you look at it like as this is the time when we all kind of start running out of food.
That's interesting.
And then we just give it up. Like, it does make the gesture to Jesus seem a little hollow. Well, since I don't have food anyway, I'll just give it up. This is for you, Jesus. I don't have any food, but I'm going to stop eating for you.
Starving for Jesus. That's, yeah. Yeah. I don't know. Like, training people to feel better about starving. I don't know about that.
Well,
that's rough. That's rough stuff.
Yeah. All right. Well, we got some folks to thank. And I'm going to start us off with John, who has decided that he needed his magic powers, and I don't blame him. John has now given it us. You are now a deacon in our priesthood. You are now magically able to deliver bread and water to people.
Oh, so what a gift!
Congratulations on that.
What a special thing you can do now.
Yeah. So go out there and use your magic powers wisely. Listen, all of you are able to gain magic powers.
It's easy.
I don't know
in
if
fact.
you know this.
Yeah.
You can walk around and tell people, "Oh, I'm a deacon. Oh, I'm a priest. Oh, I'm a high priest." Like you can just tell people that. I mean, I guess you could tell people without donating any money to us, but we're making it official. If you just give us a little bit of your money, go to thankgodimatheist.com, click on the support tab.
Mm-hmm.
Choose how you want to do it. You can do a one-time donation on PayPal. You can become a patron. There are perks over on Patreon, including the Frank and Dan Diary.
Lovely bonus content.
Bonus content every week.
Yeah.
That you guys, if you're not donating, don't get to hear, and I just think that's sad. So yes, please become a patron if you're thinking about it. And we have one more person to thank.
We do indeed, Dan, our top donor, our Lord and Savior, Davis.
More show coming up. Well, Frank,
Dan,
I don't know if you remember Genesis chapter 3.
No, not well.
But I'll tell you what happens.
Oh, okay.
There are two people in a garden. They are the first two people
really?
that God created.
I've never heard this.
They're walking around,
Mm-hmm.
and they're chilling. They're doing fine.
Yeah.
And then they eat fruit from a tree that promises to tell them the difference between good and evil.
Yeah.
This fruit gives them the knowledge of the difference between good and evil. I don't know why that's important. I don't know what, like, so the fuck what. But I'll tell you the result of eating that. The very first thing they figured out was, oh shit, we're naked and that's bad.
Oh my God. And they're like man and wife, right? And there's nobody else around?
Yeah. I mean, apparently God walks around the garden.
Yeah, but I mean, he's everywhere.
Right.
So.
And he made them naked to begin with.
Right. Okay.
I don't know. Like, it's a very confusing moment for me. But what it sets up for the rest of the universe is that Jews and Christians are not allowed to be naked. Which is like, what the fuck are you even talking about? Like, so let's talk about nudity, because yes, as you mentioned earlier at the beginning of the show, there was a whole thing where, you know, a principal got fired from a Florida school. Yeah. A private school.
A charter school.
Yeah. Because somehow they allowed 6th graders to see a statue with his wee-wee hanging out.
Yeah. It's also a school. They say that it's what caught my eye was it's the Tallahassee Classical School. And I'm like, classical? Right? Like, so apparently this is kind of a thing with Christians, right? So
Weird.
Like at first I was like, well, if they're teaching like the classics, like this must be kind of a liberal school, right? Like with liberal parents who are like sending their kids to learn about, you know, like philosophy centered. Well, it's a teaching philosophy centered on a traditional Western liberal arts education. I'm like, well, liberal arts. There's
It's got the word liberal right in it.
Well, no, but there's a lot of nudity in art, right? I'm like, well, like, okay, so what parent didn't know what school they're sending them to? No, apparently it was associated with a conservative Christian institution called Hillsdale College. That's been using, they help set up public charter schools as a way to expand their influence.
Right.
So, and then like these charter schools get accredited, quote unquote, by Hillsdale College as a good conservative Christian institution of sorts.
And then, because these kids got such a shitty education, Hillsdale's the only college that'll accept them. It's a great business
They're just
model.
lining up their future students. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
So that kind of gave a little bit of context for that story specifically, because I was just like, I mean, it's Florida. Was kind of enough to be like, well, yeah, of course, like this happened at a public school.
Right.
But with everything that's going on in Florida right now, it was just like, what?
Yeah.
Well, for me, they were the parents are saying that the David is pornographic.
Yeah.
Which
Because
they're clearly very confused about what that word means.
Well, it means ding dong.
Can you see a ding dong?
Is there a ding dong involved? Porn. It's just,
oh my God.
It's just so funny. You know, the David itself, like the current, the actual original David is in an indoor thing in Florence,
Yeah.
but there's a replica of the David that's a very good replica in the square in Florence, Italy, right where the original David was originally placed.
Right.
Out for all to see.
Right.
God help you if you take your child to Italy hoping for a good experience, and there they see a penis just sitting there. It's just so weird. It's such a weird thing. Like, one wonders what these parents believe will happen to these children.
Yeah.
If they see a naked body.
Well, yeah. And when you kind of said that it was a Christian thing, I think it's a North American thing, right? Because it's like more so than anything. Because like in Italy, which is Catholic, right? You have this. There's access to art. There's that depicts nude, the human form nude, right? And they take their kids to see it, and it's just not this thing. I remember like
even
on my mission,
Brits are okay.
Yeah. But I remember on my mission, right? Like, because for those of you who don't know, I served a Mormon mission in Rome, right?
Right.
And at one point, my mission president, you have to do sort of regular sort of interviews with him, debriefings, whatever, where he wants to see how righteous you're being. Right. And he asks you probing questions. And he asked me this one time, how are you doing with all the pornography?
Oh my God.
And I was completely taken aback by the question. I didn't know what he was talking about. Like, I was like, I've never like told him that like what is he talking about? Right. And I kind of just look at him and he's like, all the billboards, because like ads often in Italy up on billboards will have like female breasts and whatnot. Just on display for whatever product they're trying to sell. One of them, oftentimes like United Colors of Benetton, right? Would have like a topless woman. And shocking, horrible stuff. And like, when he said that, I was like, yeah, I'm fine. Right? Like, no, that's not a problem.
Don't worry, I'm into dicks. I'm not into boobs.
Yeah, there's that. But also what you're talking about isn't really pornography, but cool, whatever.
Right.
Like even growing up Mormon, right? I was just like, you're not talking like, what are you talking about?
I mean, I will say this, in fairness to your mission president or whatever.
Yeah.
You send a bunch of 19-year-old boys and you into a foreign land, and you tell them they're not allowed to masturbate.
Yeah,
they're gonna have problems with those pictures. You know what I mean? Like, I would have probably looked at anything and like had a problem with it. Right. She doesn't have to be naked. She just has to be like I just have to be able to see an outline of something, and I would have been struggling. Oh my gosh. But yeah, I mean, the whole concept of sheltering children from bodies, I guess the truth is that shame is one of the grand currencies of the United States of America in general. Like, we make sure that everybody feels a good, healthy amount of shame at all times. Not even like, yes, about your body and like just in general, but also, yes, is it too fat? Is it too tall? Is it too small? Is it not buff? Is it blah, blah, blah? Like, shame is kind of the social currency du jour here in these United States. So I guess it makes sense, but oh my God, what do you think is going to happen? What, like, how depraved do you think children are going to be if they see, like, even if they see a little pornography, actual pornography? I wouldn't want them to. Porn is not healthy for children to see.
Right.
But I saw some when I was a kid. It didn't turn me into a sex maniac. That happened all by itself.
I mean, who's to say what the root cause was, though? There's also the attitude of if you normalize things like the human body to children, right?
Yeah.
That they can grow up with much better, sort of much healthier attitudes about the human body.
Well,
right?
That's the danger.
Yeah.
What if they have a healthy attitude about their own body?
And you can't shame them.
How are you going to market to that person?
Yeah.
You can't, if you can't figure out the shame, if they're just fine with their body, that's whole industries out of business. No, I don't think that's what these people are worried about, but it is just bizarre. It is so weird that we do this. You know, when I was a kid, my parents did expose, I had intellectual liberal Mormon parents, so they definitely introduced us to art and whatever. And yeah, I'll admit I was a little fond of the nudes. I liked the nudes.
Oh, wow.
They were very interesting to me, a little titillating to me, but like, that's fine. That's part of being a human. You're supposed to explore those things. And if it's all shrouded under a balloon of this is awful and bad, you don't get to explore it at all.
Right.
There's no healthy way to explore it. There's only, this is shameful, this is sin, this is terrible. You're never going to have a healthy relationship with your body or with sex, ever. Like, you'll spend the rest of your life untangling the mess that this does to your brain. I don't know, man. I just think it's so weird. I just think it's like the word pornography has lost all meaning on the right in the United States of America.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Well, they don't really, they don't know what it is.
Yeah.
So the whole, I know it when I see it definition of what pornography is, it's not really a useful definition.
No.
Right? Like,
it's actually a very dangerous one. Because even if you're right and you know pornography when you see it, somebody else has a different line, draws a different line.
Absolutely.
There's somebody out there who's like, that woman is showing her knees. Porn!
Yeah, the classic porn shoulder.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
All right. Well, expose your kids to nudity. It's fine. It's fine. But oh my God, these people. It's a weird time to be alive. I guess that's all it is.
I think it's always been a weird time to be alive.
It's true.
Like,
it's true.
When has humanity ever really figured it out?
Yeah, right?
Right. Like,
I'm
sorry.
How boring it'll be on that day.
Like, as much as we like to idolize certain societies, either currently existing or through time, none of them had it figured out.
No,
because
not.
they were populated with people, right?
Yeah, and we
suck.
We're big dumb idiots. Just big dumb idiots.
Yeah,
apes. Yeah. We're just only mildly advanced apes. All right. Well, if you'd like to write into us and tell us about your experience with art/pornography, feel free to podcast@thankgodimatheist.com.
Or call and leave us a voicemail message. We'd love to hear from you. The telephone number is 424-666-8442.
Yeah, hey, go to the Facebook page, facebook.com/TGIAtheist, and click the like button.
And if you'd like to join one of our members-only lounges, they really are great. Go to our website, thankgodimatheist.com/members-only.
Yeah, there's one on Facebook. There's one on Discord. It's all great. Yeah. Thanks so much to the Red Rock Hot Club for the use of their music.
And thanks to Gordon Johnston for the use of his music.
And thanks to all of you for tuning in. We sure do appreciate it.
Thanks so much. Bye-bye.